America. A country built on dreams, but not the kind you see on Wall Street, not the kind controlled by investors or billion-dollar tech giants like Amazon. No, the real foundation of America was built above small wooden shops, where families lived upstairs and worked downstairs. There was a time when a business wasn't just a logo, it was a last name. And if that business failed, the family name failed with it. They survived the Great Depression. They survived 2 world wars. They survived recessions, industrial collapse, even the rise and fall of giants like Sears. But thousands of family businesses didn't make it. They disappeared, closed forever, forgotten. Yet, somehow, a few names are still standing, more than 100 years later. Tonight, we are searching for them, the last family-owned American businesses still surviving from the 1900s. Who are they? How did they survive when others collapsed? And what secret did they protect that corporations forgot? Because by the end of this story, you might realize America didn't lose its soul overnight. It slowly traded it. He didn't speak perfect English. He didn't arrive with wealth. He didn't even arrive with a clear plan. In 1853, a young immigrant stepped onto American soil, while thousands rushed west chasing gold. He noticed something different. The miners were breaking their backs, digging through mud, sleeping in tents. Their clothes tore apart within weeks. Pants ripped at the seams. Pockets couldn't hold tools. Fabric failed under pressure, but this young immigrant saw opportunity in failure. Not gold in the ground, but strength in fabric. He began selling durable cloth. Then he reinforced it, copper rivets at stress points, stronger stitching. Miners didn't just buy pants. They bought reliability. And slowly, his last name began spreading across camps, from one worker to another, from one town to the next. But survival wasn't guaranteed. He would face economic crashes, global wars, changing fashion trends, corporate competition, and more than a century later, his company would still stand. Tonight, we reveal how one immigrant family built a name that even modern giants like Amazon couldn't erase. But before we say the name, you have to understand what made it different. For years, miners wore them without thinking about the name. They only knew one thing. These pants did not tear, but every stitch carried a surname. A name that had crossed the ocean with nothing that name was Levi Strauss. In 1853, he founded what would become Levi Strauss & Co., not a fashion empire, not a trend, but a promise. When the gold rush ended, the company didn't. When the Great Depression crushed businesses, it adapted. When world wars changed supply chains, it endured. And when fast fashion flooded the world, it didn't forget its roots, because this wasn't just denim. It was family legacy. Generations of the Strauss family remained connected to the company's direction, not chasing every trend, not selling their identity. In a world where brands are bought and sold like assets, this name stayed personal, but survival wasn't easy. There were moments when selling out would have been easier, when corporate buyouts could have made them richer overnight. So why didn't they? What makes a family protect a name for over 170 years? 1912. Northern Maine. Freezing winds. Endless forests. A hunter walked for miles through snow. But it wasn't the cold that defeated him. It was his boots. They leaked. They froze. They failed. That hunter's name was Leon Wood Bean. He wasn't trying to build a company. He just wanted dry feet, so he designed a boot rubber bottom leather upper, stronger stitching. He mailed 100 pairs to customers and waited. Then the boxes came back. 90 pairs. Returned. Defective. Most people would have quit. Most investors would have shut it down. But he did something rare. He refunded every single customer. He fixed the design, improved the stitching, strengthened the rubber, and mailed them again. That decision didn't just save a product. It built trust, and that trust built LL Bean. For over 100 years, that same philosophy remained: quality first, guarantee always. In a world chasing fast profit, this family chose reputation, but even honesty isn't always enough. So how did they survive wars, economic crashes, and the rise of corporate retail? Because sometimes, legacy isn't about never failing. It's about how you respond when you do. Before America had railroads, before it had electricity, before it had skyscrapers, it had flour. In 1790, a small milling company began grinding wheat. No branding genius, no marketing strategy, just quality grain. That company would later become King Arthur Baking Company. It survived something few companies ever could: time. When the Civil War divided families, bread was still baked. When the Great Depression emptied pockets, flour still stretched meals. When World War II rationed sugar and butter, mothers still found ways to bake for their children. Because flour wasn't a luxury, it was survival. It was comfort. Through 2 centuries, owners changed. Markets evolved. Factories modernized. But one thing remained constant: trust. But how does a company survive over 200 years? When empires collapse? When industries disappear? When corporations are bought and sold like chess pieces? Because this wasn't just a company. It became part of family tradition. Some businesses build customers. Others become part of memory. 3 different stories, 3 different centuries, 3 different industries. Denim, boots, flour. But the same question remains: why did they survive? Thousands of businesses started with passion. Many began as family dreams. Most disappeared. Some were crushed by the Great Depression. Some couldn't survive world wars. Some were replaced by corporations. And some were swallowed by giants like Amazon. But these families did something different. They didn't build companies to flip them. They built names. When you put your family name on a product, you protect it differently. You don't chase every trend. You don't cut every corner. You think in decades, not quarters. They survived because failure wasn't the end, it was a lesson. They survived because trust mattered more than speed. They survived because reputation was more valuable than expansion. In a world where businesses are bought and sold like assets, these families remembered something simple. A company is temporary, but a name is generational. Maybe America didn't lose its family businesses overnight. Maybe we just stopped protecting them. And maybe the next great legacy is still being built. Legacy is built in generations, not in transactions.